We're back on Brew with Blue once again. It's Wednesday today. I am up quite early for me. It's 8 o'clock. But the reason is a good reason because I'm speaking to Ryan Reynolds all the way on the other side of the world in Australia. It's quite rare, Ryan, isn't it, for you to come on one of our shows and for us to have to get up early because usually you're the one getting up at all hours to accommodate us. But, you're used to it, getting up to watch Everton. how are you doing?
Good, mate. I was going to say, this is a really civilised time for me. It's 5:15 at night. I just got back from having a bit of a walk, took my hour of exercise and stroll in and talk to you. It's just the perfect way to spend an evening, mate. Much better than these 2 a.m.s with you and Rob.
Well, I suppose usually when you speak to us, like you said, it's either 2 o'clock, and there's been the odd one where you've got in from like a night out at the pub, and you've come on as well. So is it strange to speak to us not in a haze of tiredness or intoxication?
Yeah. Actually, I was thinking this whole brew of the blue, I was going to get a cracker can for you just in your honour, but I didn't want to turn your tummy at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah, far too early for us. But does brew mean like an alcoholic drink over there for you guys, or is it still like hot drink?
No, it's more a beer. If you're going out for a few brews, you're grabbing some beers rather than a cup of tea.
What we should do then is we should do a second series of this where you host Brew with a Blue and you just get people on and get bevied. Just get smashed with a beer.
That is right up my alley, and I reckon we could just talk about the Tories all night.
Fair enough. But
I didn't want to get Kelly James's hopes up when she saw that I was gonna be doing brews tonight. I thought, oh no, she might be expecting some videos of me having a crack at all the Tories. So.
Oh wow! I think people don't realise that Kate's got a lot of Australian background because she's got a very Scouse accent and everything as well, but. Just bring it up every now and then, but terminology, it's one of them, isn't it? But how are you doing? Because obviously, we spoke to a lot of people in this country. We spoke to Rob from the States. What are things like over, down under at the moment?
Actually, surprisingly positive at the moment. Where I am, I've probably said a million times, I'm based in Victoria, and last time we were talking, I think it was on the Kickabout, we were talking about the really strict restrictions that they brought in, and I think they managed to get ahead of the curve a little bit because our cases have plummeted. The latest update today is we had 10 new cases of coronavirus in Victoria, which is a population of like 5 million. So the numbers are really good. Over, I think it was Easter Sunday, there was only 3 new cases. So it seems like the curve's flattening out for us, which is nice. And we're starting to talk a little bit more about when we might actually be lifting restrictions rather than how long the restrictions are going to be for. So it's going to be nice once it's all over and done with. I'm certainly missing some sport and everything else in between. It's been a month since it's all sort of come about in Australia. It honestly feels like about 6 months. I'm so drained. Yeah. It's crazy. And like I don't know if it's the same for you, but I just gag for that 1 hour of exercise a day. We can actually go out and leave the house and just feel normal for that little bit. I don't think we'll ever live through anything like it again.
Yeah, well, I've seen that joked in the rounds on social media quite a lot about now why dogs are so excited to go for walks every day because you get the same feeling you're boxed up inside. But yeah, well, I mean, I think we spoke on it was one of our subscriber shows. You came on last and we sort of said it's been a really rough year for Australians in that regard. With the bushfires going on earlier in the year, and I think at the time we last spoke, it sort of wasn't quite clear how serious it was going to be over there. Obviously, talking about coronavirus now, not the fires, but it's positive at least that and after what happened with the fires and the stick the government got and the Prime Minister particularly got for you guys for his handling of that. Do you think that sort of helped them in regards to this? That they're sort of in that mode of being ready for a disaster for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, a little bit, and I think sort of our distance away from a lot of population kind of helps as well. We're not sort of like you guys where we've got borders all over the place and there's so much free movement that, unless you're Australian or travelling back, you really don't have much of a reason to come here, which is nice. A lot of our confirmed cases were travellers returning back from overseas as well. So community spread hasn't been a great deal, but I think Scott Morrison, he's a bit of a knobhead, but he's done a good job on this one. I think no one wants to be. You don't want to be a leader in this time because it just seems like all you can do is fail. So, and everyone's there to have a go at you. So I don't envy his job, but we're getting through okay, but also cautious that it can change very quickly. So I don't really want to be getting too far ahead of myself.
Yeah. Say about you missing sport there. Obviously, people listen to us regularly know not only you're big blue, you're massive into your other sport, particularly your racing as well. That's been going on quite a lot still through this time period, hasn't it? Horse racing.
Yeah, racing's gone through the whole time. We haven't actually stopped yet. They brought in a whole heap of biosecurity protocols to help protect it, to keep it going. But I think what a lot of people see it is as a sport, but in Australia in particular, as an industry, 25,000 full-time employees in Victoria alone, hundreds of millions of dollars into the economy, so they can't afford it to stop going, considering all the job losses and that. And thankfully, it's interesting, like people that desperate for sport and to watch any sort of competition, that racing's actually enjoying a bit of a resurgence in popularity at the moment. People are looking for ways to lose their money outside of accumulators on football and soccer and everything else. So it's been really good in that regard. But geez, I just can't wait for the EPL to come back. And all other sorts of competition. You don't realise how much of a part sport plays in your life, do you, until you don't have it anymore. And I don't know if it's just me being a bit weird, but you're kind of like, well, what's the point in living? I've got nothing to cheer for. What's the point in supporting anything? It just seems a little bit worthless at the moment.
Especially when your life revolves around that. You're a big sports fan. Like we spoke on one of your shows recently, but you said you started a new job in regards to this. You were dead excited by the prospect and all that. So people who maybe aren't in the industry and maybe don't work in sport might look at it and think, it's a nice sort of break. And I think there have been times over the last few weeks where I've sort of thought, you know what, it's quite nice not having it there. But when it is at the crux of everything you do in your life, and it is important and it is sort of your livelihood in a way, it can become really tiresome and really irksome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you find the same thing, but also yourself as a journalist and reporting and writing on these things, that you find that your release is still watching sport or watching football. It doesn't necessarily have to be Everton. You might watch a bit of La Liga or whatever it is. Yeah. It's just your way of chilling out and sort of makes things normal. So when these things that you use as a bit of a comfort get taken away from you, I don't know about you, but the anxiety goes up a little bit. Like, well, what am I going to do now? Everything that I do doesn't exist at the moment. It's crazy.
And the thing over here as well is on Sky, they've been doing a lot of like Premier League nostalgia matches. So they've been replaying like old classic games on Sky. And obviously the ones that Everton tend to be involved in those are either derby losses or like dramatic draws. Like I've not seen us. The only one which has like been sort of positive, which has been on recently, is the 4-4 against United from 2012, where Everton scored twice late on and denied United the title. Other than that, it's just the Gary McAllister derby, the Gerrard hat-trick derby, the Divock Origi derby. And it's just like, oh God, can we have some positive games on at least for us to look back on? But one thing I was going to ask you, I didn't tell you this beforehand, so I don't know if you've seen it, but one of the things I've started doing to sort of get that sporting fix recently, I've started watching, is the documentary about the Australian cricket team. Have you watched that yet?
Yeah, I sat through it. I binge watched that actually over the course of a couple of days. It's bloody sensational, isn't it?
Yeah. So for people who haven't seen this yet, I would recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime. I don't know, did they broadcast it on TV over there, or was it just on Amazon?
Yeah, still on Amazon Prime. Yeah. So, actually, if you look carefully, there's Shane Warne. They're just behind me. Yeah.
Is that signed, or is it?
It's signed. It's from when he took his 700th wicket. So it's got a little bit of his shirt that he wore in that game cut out.
Wow, that's the great memento. That was that against England?
I can't even remember now, to be perfectly honest. It's that long ago.
There you go. It's on you. Yeah. But I've been watching that recently. I've not finished the whole thing yet. But effectively, people over here who may not have seen it, may not be into cricket, think the Manchester City All or Nothing documentary, where effectively the cameras get all access to the dressing room, to the training pitch and all that sort of thing. And it's sort of like that, isn't it, with the Australian team? And I think at first it was a little. I was watching it thinking, oh, it's a little bit too. What's the right word? It's a little bit too cushy, and it's a little bit trying to paint these lads who've made massive mistakes in their career with the ball tampering as, trying to humanise them a little bit. And I thought it was going to be a little bit wishy-washy and a little bit sort of too emotional. But as it goes on, it gets really good, and it effectively chronicles the team's journey from that ball tampering scandal, I think it was in 2018, up until the Ashes last summer, doesn't it? And whether you're an England fan, whether you're an Australian fan, it gives it a great insight into what goes on behind the scenes at that high level of sport, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it gives you a really interesting perspective of cricket from that inner sanctum in terms of the coaching and the mental side of things that go behind it. Like, I don't really want to ruin much of it for people who haven't watched it, but I thought the conversations around Aaron Finch when he was out of form as the one-day captain were really fascinating, and how the group sort of gets around those star players who are out of form and tries to get their confidence back up and that sort of stuff. So that perspective was really interesting. I was also fascinated with how they portrayed Dave Warner and Steve Smith and Bancroft and that whole saga as well. I would have loved to have seen them go into a bit more detail about it. I sort of thought they portrayed them as, particularly Steve Smith, almost heroic. I don't know if you sort of have found that.
Yeah. I think you sort of, I don't know when this was commissioned, this documentary, but you sort of got the sense that was the aim going through of it, wasn't it? They sort of wanted to, like I said, it felt as though, for people who aren't aware of this, basically 3 Australian players got banned for a year because they used sandpaper on a cricket ball. And there was a lot of outrage over this. Some of them were in tears at press conferences and stuff like that. And it felt like the sort of underlying agenda, maybe agenda's the wrong word, but the underlying theme throughout it from the directors was, right, this is the narrative we're going to run with this. It's going to be the redemption of these fellas going from, the bottom point in their career. They've reached the nadir in regards to what they've gone through, up into becoming, Ashes heroes effectively a summer later.
Yeah, absolutely. And geez, I can't get sick of watching that Ashes series. What a series!
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw it this weekend, but Sky over here did because it was Easter weekend, did like 2 watch-alongs. So they replayed the final day of the third test at Headingley, where Ben Stokes played that ridiculous innings, obviously, and they sort of got, they got Ben Stokes, Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root, all on like a Skype call, and they were commentating on it as it was going on. So it was really good. And then the day after that, they did the World Cup final. So they got Stokes back on again. They got Jofra Archer and that sort of stuff. So that was all brilliant. But you do think back to that summer, and my favourite bit of the documentary, and it's probably a bit which people have seen that have been shared on Twitter, was how the Chronicles, when Smith gets hit on the head by Archer, and he goes back into the dressing room, and they're trying to make the decision on whether he should go out or not. And I think as much as I'm sort of over the Steve Smith ball tampering thing now. I won't go into the ground and boo the fella by any means, but I think when he went back out to bat again for the second time and then came back in after getting out, and he loses the plot, he's throwing his bat around, all that sort of thing. I think that was just a really great insight into the character of one of the world's best sportsmen.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, though, how terrifying is Jofra Archer? I was watching that going, I would not be wearing whites because they'd be brown so quickly. Like,
yeah, but it's amazing because they got him on that World Cup watch along on Sunday to talk through the Super Over, and he's got like the calmest, like nicest voice ever. He's really softly spoken, and then you see him do things like that, and it's like, it's brutish and like it's almost gladiatorial, isn't it? The way in which him and Smith had that battle, quite remarkable. But I'd encourage anybody to go and watch that. It's a great series. Just moving on to Everton, for sort of staying on the Australian theme for people who have never heard you on one of our shows before. How did you come to be a Blue? Was it the Tim Cahill connection?
No, it was a little bit before that actually. We used to have bits and pieces of the Premier League come on TV in Australia, and a lot of you guys would probably know back in the day, but Leeds was quite popular in Australia with Harry Kewell and Mark Viduka, and there was a game that was shown on TV, and Everton was playing in that game, and I just went for Everton. That was literally that. I just was watching that game, and I picked Everton out of the two teams, and so be it. I think a little bit of it was that Leeds is very popular in Australia for that reason, for my generation of age group, because Cahill and Viduka were absolute superstars of Australian football, and everyone was sort of following them. And I've always had that need to be a little bit different than everyone else. So literally fell into it. And to be perfectly honest, previously my parents have had friends over in England just through business and whatnot, and they used to send me all sorts of Premier League stuff, from Manchester United kits to everything else, and never really took a fancy on it. And for whatever reason, it was just Everton that stuck, and used to search results and look it up and read about it because we could never really get in contact much with it here. And then our pay TV provider picked up the rights and we got pay TV, and since then it just clicked, and loved them ever since. And I guess the Tim Cahill factor obviously plays a part too. I mean, you've got one of the absolute legends of our national team playing for the team you love. It makes it a little bit easier to get up in the morning and watch him play.
Yeah. Does that annoy you a little bit then when people like myself and others sort of assume that you're an Everton fan entirely because of Tim Cahill?
No, it doesn't annoy me, but I'm used to it. Like, oh, Tim Cahill, blah, blah, blah. I was like, actually, no, it's a little bit before that. Yeah, I reckon it was a 99-2000 season from memory. It might have been like a 3-3 or a 2-2 draw.
There was a 4-4 game around that point. Everton and Leeds played. Yeah, Everton and Leeds played. It was at Goodison Park. It was 4-4. It was ridiculous. And then I think a few years later, bizarrely, Everton beat them 4-1, and Steve Watson scored a hat-trick. Like, isn't that weird? Isn't that weird spell where he's played up front for a bit? Yeah.
That's bizarre, isn't it? Yeah. That's crazy. I think, from memory, Viduka scored that day, and might have been Dunk might have scored. I can't remember.
I will look it up now. On the fly. While we've got the laptop here. Yeah.
So that was always that I just stuck with him from there. So it's interesting how you fall into it.
The 4-4 was in 1999.
So I think that was the game. Yeah.
That was the game. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
The goal scorers that day were Kevin Campbell scored. Michael Bridges equalised. Then Campbell scored again. Then Hutchinson scored for Everton. Then Leeds got it back to 3-3 with Cahill and Michael Bridges. They went 4-3 up through Jonathan Woodgate, and then David Weir scored the 90th minute equaliser for Everton.
That's right. I remember seeing. I sat back down and watched the replay of it. I reckon about 12 months ago. It was a cracking game. It was an absolute belter.
There's not been many 4-4s at Goodison anyway. Obviously, we spoke about the United one there, but wow, we've had some crazy games against Leeds when they were back up again, but back up in the top flight. But onto your shirt as well, and sort of continuing the theme that I've been doing on these. I said to Laura on her video yesterday that no player sprung to mind when I saw her shirt. She had the third kit from the 2005-2006 season. I saw yours, and straight away thought Leighton Baines, West Ham, those two free kicks.
How magic was that?
Unbelievable.
I reckon this shirt just has so many good memories for me. Obviously the West Ham game, and then it was Pete Martinez, and actually I bought this when I was over there. That was the first time I'd ever went to Goodison Park, and it was the derby. I think it was 3-3. Such a great. Yeah. So I was in the lower Gladys Street for it, right behind the goals that day, and it was actually the trip of a lifetime because I went to Old Trafford and was there when Oviedo scored that late winner. We got the late equaliser at Arsenal. I was there for that, and I think we belted a couple of poxy teams in between.
Yeah, it was like Fulham and Stoke. Yeah, 4-0 or 4-1. I think against Fulham and Stoke.
Yeah. And then there was, I think, Fulham in there as well. Yeah. From memory. I think we belted Fulham as well. So this shirt has so many personal memories to me. I just love it, and I'm really glad that I can still fit into it because I've been eating a lot of junk food through the coronavirus. And actually, I put it on before I come out here, and I said to my wife, and I was like, she goes, don't stand up or do anything because it's a bit tight along the bottom.
It looks absolutely fine.
Yeah, I was like, as long as I keep it just sort of a low man boob level, we should be sweet. So
yeah, that's what I try to do with mine as well. The camera just keep it there, so no one can see. The more you think about these videos is that been doing them every day. That people might be able to chronicle how much weight I put on during this isolation if you go through them all. But don't go back and watch the first one, then watch the last one, or whatever you do. But yeah, I was at that West Ham game, and it was just it's up there my favourite aways because I just remember thinking coming away from that game that was a game Everton as I know them, don't win usually. Being behind twice in the game. I think Mark Noble got sent off and West Ham were 2-1 up, and you sort of, if you were watching that game on telly and any other teams were involved, you'd say the team of 11 men were going to come back and win that game, but Everton don't in the main. So for Baines to score that second free kick and then for Rom to come on and score the winner. I mean, that header was ridiculous for that third goal. To knock himself unconscious to score the winner, it was crazy. But that's definitely up there, one of my favourite away games.
Yeah, and I think the thing too with that Rom goal, it just showed, it gave us an insight into sort of how lethal and how ruthless he was as a goal scorer, that he was prepared to put his body in those positions to get those goals. And I just remember it was such a early morning here, and almost fell out of bed celebrating that equaliser. It was crazy scenes.
I don't know about you as well, but I think what I used to love about the old West Ham playing ground was that when you score a goal away from home and you've got the backdrop of the away fans behind it, so you can sort of see everybody losing. It was a bit like that at Watford this season when Walcott scored, and you've got the fans there. When you score a late winner like that, and you can sort of just see like a canvas of just bodies and limbs flying everywhere behind the goal, it always makes it a little bit better.
Is a trip to London the best away day? Or what is the best away day for you?
Ooh, I don't know. I used to love going to West Ham's old ground. The new one's not very good at all. I used to always like going to City as well because we used to always win there, but obviously not so much in recent years. But I don't know. Fulham's always great when they're in the top flight because it's right by the river. You get them. We played them in April last year, but we got beat 2-0, didn't we?
It was a shocking game. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like after we beat West Ham, beat Chelsea, beat Arsenal, and we all went down there. They were bottom of the league. Like, we'll smash these, no problem. And then obviously turned up and Everton did. But just on your trips very quickly before we finish. So you did that one in the 2013-14 season, and you came over about 18 months ago now.
Yeah, coming up 2 years ago now. Yeah. So.
Big trips both times. Big trips both times, though. You sounds like you did like a couple of months each time.
Yeah. So the first time I come across, I just come by myself. I basically was in Liverpool for a month, and I'll come across for the sole reason of following Everton around. And then the second time we come, it was nearly 2 months and a bit. It was about 10 weeks, I think, from memory. But we did a whole heap more of Europe rather than just sort of floating around Liverpool. I don't think I would have come back with a wife if I turned it into a holiday. But it was crazy. Like the first time, just following the team around and managing to find different ways in. Like I had to buy a hospitality ticket for Old Trafford, and I couldn't help myself. Oviedo scores, and like I was just in normal clothes or whatever, and I couldn't help it. I was standing up and celebrating. And then straight after the full-time whistle, we sort of got ushered into like this dining room area, and they serve you dinner and blah, 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 blah. I was like the biggest leper on the table. Like, no one was eating. This bloke's an absolute idiot. Like, I was just so bad. So I quickly ate my dinner and pissed off. It was worth every second of it. It was worth every second of it.
What a spell of games to go to, though. Amazing. Ryan, it's been great. Really enjoyed it. I could speak to you at last and say, enjoy going back to bed. You don't have to. You just enjoy the rest of your day as we go on as usual.
You might be able to go back to bed. What is it now? 8:30 for you?
8:30. Yeah, not too bad. The sun's starting to open up a little bit. It's going to be a nice day, so I'm going to make the most of my hour exercise. But no, mate, it's been always a pleasure speaking to you. Really enjoyed it, and best of luck for next week. Obviously, anyone who follows you know that there's baby on the way. Not long to go now.
Little Toffee, 1 week to go. So we've already got the Everton jumpsuits good to go. So
fantastic.
Got no other option.
Yeah, top man. Well, best luck with that. Stay safe anyway. Thanks very much for coming on. We'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
Cheers, mate. Speak soon.
Yeah, and anybody who's been enjoying these videos, do give them a thumbs up. I know it doesn't seem like it makes a difference, but it does. Give them a thumbs up. Comment, share. Luca Dean shared Laura Gates yesterday. We'll have to try and get someone more famous to share one of yours, Ryan. Maybe Tim Cahill.
We'll try and get Ryan Reynolds to try and do it.
We'll tag the original Ryan Reynolds and Tim Cahill in. Yeah, one of them's going to share it, surely. Surely one of them. Yeah. If you listen to the podcast, give us a rating, share it out as well. And thanks very much for listening. We'll speak to you again soon here on the Blue Room.